Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world. The longer you live, the more you will realize that the only things that truly exist in this reality are merely pain, suffering, and futility. Listen. Everywhere you look in this world, wherever there is light, there will always be shadows to be found as well.
Yo, I know the like I know the thumbnail's dog water, but yeah, tune in, yeah. Okay, summary. Izuku can manipulate darkness and shape into whatever he wants it to. And so, yeah. And so in the second meeting with the sludge villain, that's where the story will start off. And also, All For One can't take the quirk because it's magic. But he doesn't need a grimoire to use it. And so, it's turned to a quirk fashion, but it's truly magic. And so, let's get into it. Izuku Midoriya. In the world of people with called quirks and quirkless. And Izuku is part of the second group called quirkless. And Izuku Midoriya right now is heard running because he heard a huge boom. Not hoping what he thinks it is, Izuku Midoriya arrives at the location to see the sludge villain. And so, Izuku can't help but think, it's my fault. And then All Might, the number one hero of the world of quirks, looks in despair and is angry at himself for being so weak. And then Izuku is in his feelings right now. He screams, dang it, dang it. And so then his body freezes on its own. Izuku Midoriya, for the first time in his life, has ran on instincts. Izuku runs. He doesn't know what he's doing, dodging out of debris, explosions coming at him. Then he chucks his backpack right at the sludge villain, who looks at the kid and says, "What are you doing, kid?" And so then the pro hero Death Arm says, "Wait, kid, stop." But Izuku Midoriya will not stop. He's trying to save his friend, and all the pros look at him to see he has a smile on his face, and they look at him weirdly, like, why are you smiling? Izuku is smiling because he's able to try to save somebody, at least once. And so then he starts peeling, but then the sludge villain looks down at him annoyed. Then he blasts him away. "Kid, why aren't you using your quirk?" "Oh, I forgot. You're quirkless," he taunts at the boy. And so then he says, "I'll just play around with you." And so the sludge villain goes on to play around with Izuku. And it's not very enjoyable. He's getting his butt whooped. But yeah. And so then Izuku is on his knees, wheezing, burns all around his body. Izuku Midoriya looks down, clenches his fist. I guess my time is up. And so as the sludge villain gets ready for his final attack, Izuku hears echoes in his mind. "You're nothing. You won't become a hero." Then here's the main one, a quote, if you will. "My life is a perfect graveyard full of hopes, which is yours," meaning that they're buried underground. But then he hears a shockwave, power, then a midnight purple, energy in a booming voice says, "Listen, we draw from our strength, the very despair in which we are forced to live. We shall endure. Then Izuku eyes opens, glowing purple at the man. The man smiles, says, "Kid, show them your darkness." In a good light, he smiles as the negative voices get drowned away. Izuku stands up on shaky feet, and everyone looks at the boy in astonishment as his body becomes the glow midnight purple. Then Izuku, in a burst of speed, making a black sword appear in his hand, he slashes across. I mean, he slashes the sludge, and a huge shockwave hits the sludge villain, freeing Bakugo, and Bakugo gets freed, and Izuku passes out right away. And yeah. And so Izuku wakes up and sees his mom, Inko, and she says, "Izuku, that was very dangerous. Don't ever do that again." But then she smiles, "I'm glad you have your quirk now, my son." And so Izuku smiles back, happy. And so then Inko comments, "But I thought you would get pyrokinesis if you were to get a quirk." Interesting. Darkness? I don't know, maybe your father's cousins had a darkness quirk. I don't know. She smiles, and then Izuku smiles back at her, and they go to bed. And so Izuku wakes up early in the morning on purpose, and seems he just wants to learn more about his quirk, you know? And so then Izuku runs to this beach called Takoba Beach, and he thinks, "Why was I here?" But was about to leave, but then he sees a well-crafted sword right in front of him, and he picks up the sword, and he fell in love with the sword, if you will, or is extremely fond of the sword. And this sword is the sword you see from the gameplay. Oh, and tell me if you guys like the gameplay. I thought it would be better for you guys just to not stare at a same screen, and so I hope you will like it. You know? No, know what I mean? And so, yeah. Then he picks up the sword. "I'll get stronger with this." And so then he goes back to bed, and so he wakes up again and goes to school. But Bakugo's there, and he says, "Deku, why did you tell me about your quirk?" He explodes the Izuku down the hall, and Izuku gets up on shaky legs. "Stop it, Kachan." And so Bakugo ignores him, slamming him into the wall. "Where'd you get that quirk? You didn't have one when we were kids, so how'd you get it?" So then Izuku says, "Get off of me." And so then Bakugo ignores him, but then Izuku screams, "Get off of me!" And then purple darkness surrounds him, pushing Bakugo back. And so then Izuku rubs the back of his head. "I didn't know I could do that." And so, yeah. So, what would happen now, you think? Well, they go to class. And so Izuku, while in class, writes a plan of a new training schedule that he will do for the next 10 months. This is rigorous training, focusing on his stamina and strength. And so he will clean the Takoba Beach like original. And he will be in the same peak strength, you could say, as he was in the original, or strength that he was in the original. And yeah. Izuku mainly trained with his quirk how to bring out the power, because in the developing stage of a quirk, you still need to know how to bring out a power. And so, yeah. So now Izuku Midoriya. It's now time for the UA entrance exam. And so Izuku is walking with his sword on his hip, and people look unwarily. Nobody just has a, it's like a sword. And so he walks into the UA building, and he sits by Bakugo, who glares at him. Ever since that day, Bakugo was was angry, but silently angry, which is bad, but it's how you interpret it. And so then Izuku is about a fanboy about the pro hero President Mike, but a look from Bakugo makes him shut up. And so then he hears about the man talk about the 1.0 robots. Then a boy speaks. Is there a mistake, sir? There's another robot on this, and you haven't showed it on the screen. If this is a mistake by UA, it's very unfortunate, sir. And so, and he also said it'll be a bad reputation on the UA's record. And so President Mike calms the boy, saying he hasn't explained it yet. And so then, after they take the written part, they go on to do the, main part of the exam. And so President Mike yells, "Here, heroes don't wait. Go, go, go!" So Izuku starts attacking robots like Yami is right here, doing black slashes at them. Well, besides the black hole thing to or the shadow thing to guard himself, but you know what I mean. And so he basically uses slashes horizontal and parallel to attack the robots. And so he just keeps on just attacking robots from a distance and from close. And it's like he's a god. And so Izuku, after a while, gasps. he used so much energy and his limit's coming. And so he tries to get up and runs while All Might looks at the kid. He thinks he saw that kid before. He was someone who he saved from the sludge villain that also defeated the sludge villain, he thought. And so then he worries, will that kid go beyond his limits too much? And so then Izuku hears a large boom, boom, boom. And so Izuku runs but sees a girl stuck. He thinks, my body, it hurts. It's in pain, but I won't give up. So then with tons of speed, he runs, picks up the girl, but she says her ankle hurts. And so Izuku looks up at that robot. And he looks at the robot, and then he thinks, I have to use the rest of my energy for this one attack. And so then he screams out as purple, what he will later call mana, surrounds him. And he is now awakening. Angry mode? I don't know. But, yeah. And so now Izuku makes his hands lower a sword. Then he leaps up in the sky. And he thinks I have to time this right. So then right when he's about to go down, Izuku says, heaven. And no, he says, hell slash. What just happened? Like, this is Izuku's mode. What he just did. Like, in the mana form. And so he slashes down, slashing the robot cleanly in half. And everyone looks in shock. The power of this kid, might be unmatchable. And so then Izuku thinks, what do I do? What do I do? And so he uses the sword to stop himself hanging onto a wall with the darkness. and then he passes out, falling onto the ground with his sword. And so, yeah. And so when Izuku wakes up, he's at home. So a week passes, Izuku gets, well, now. And so he sees All Might, and he says, Izuku Midoriya, congratulations, you made it to UA with 50 hero points. And Izuku smiles, he made it to UA. But then he thinks, wait, the wife's All Might still on the screen, and All Might says, you thought that was it? No, it's not, kid. He grins. I'm a man of comedy, so I'm going to show you. And so shows Ochaka Uraraka asking President Mike for some points to give. And so the man says no, but All Might grins. Why would we punish you for saving a person? You could have got a higher placement, maybe even first. And so, with that, the people here decided to give you 60 hero points. Points. And so he says, with that, and so it shows Izuku Midoriya at the bottom, racing all the way to the top. And then, congratulations, Izuku Midoriya. You got 110 hero points. And beat your own junior high classmate Katsuki Bakugo. So Izuku Midoriya, you are the top class of this UA's graduation class or something, I don't know, or upcoming class. So I'm here to welcome you to Boku no Hero, My Hero Academia. Okay, so now basically the next episode. Izuku accidentally wakes up early, and then he tries to go back to sleep, but he can't. So then he gets on his UA uniform, and then he decides to go to school early. And so he just sits back, and seemingly nobody sees him in the back for some reason. And so now this caterpillar-looking guy opens up his sleeping bag and says we'll be heading outside. And so a brown hair girl asks, but what about orientation? And Aizawa grins. We can do whatever we want at UA as teachers. And so they get on their little uniform and head outside. And Aizawa says, good, you're here on time. At least you're smart. And so then he says, Izuku Midoriya, you got first place on the entrance exam. What was your ball throw in middle school? And Izuku says 51 meters, sir. And Aizawa looks a bit shocked, but calms himself and says, use your quirk with it. And Izuku nods. And so then his hand has, well, purple darkness on it. I want to do purple darkness instead of black. I think it'll be a little bit cooler, you know what I mean? Know what I mean? But anyways, it surrounds the ball, and so then Izuku powers it up at his full power, just screaming down at the ball, and people look at him like he's crazy. But then the darkness just raises up high. It coats his whole right side of his, well, body. So then he chucks it into the clouds. It makes the shockwave blasting everybody back. And so Aizawa grins, says, great. And so it shows infinity as they couldn't track it. And so he says, we will be testing you in all what you did in middle school or junior high. And so, get ready. This will be hard. Everybody gets excited, but he says, whoever gets last place gets expelled. And people shout, that's unfair. And so Aizawa comments, are natural disasters unfair? Are power-hungry villains fair? No. Heroes have to pick them up. Plus Ultra style. And so, the 50-yard run. Izuku watches Tenya Ida so he thinks, and so then he coats himself like you see here in the purple, well, mana mist thing. And so then he runs and is able to get, but his bones creak 3.10 seconds above Tenya Ida from the increased speed of the mana form. He's able to get that, and Aizawa grins at him. Good job, he comments. And so, yeah. The grip test. Aizuku using the mana form breaks the scale because it increases strength a lot. And the ball, though, he wouldn't go. Bakugo will get the same to his distress. And so, the rest of the tests are practically easy for him getting near, like, in the top 3. So Aizuku passes with first place. Because he got first place in so many. Oh yeah, the sandbox. He would get out of the box. Yeah, he would just get out of the box. And so yeah. So he gets number 1, and Toru would get last place. I still don't understand why people give me like Mineta like last place. I know he's hated, but still, my guy, calm down. So, and like, don't you even dare go in the comments. Well, he did get second to last. I don't care. How does Toru do? Like, bro, shut up. Just shut up. Just just shut up for those people who says that you are a mistake. You're a freaking mistake. Like your parents don't, like, they literally do not love you. I'm sorry. They don't. Do better. Do better. So like I was saying, class that day goes the same, and so to the next day. And I'm going to just skip to the hero training. And so Aizuku, I'ma say, he has that bull thing, but the bull thing is like his whole body, like Asta's, or Asta, I don't know what to pronounce it, but yeah. And so people comment it's cool, and he has the same team. And so Aizuku creates a plan. He says, I can use my sword to defend against Bakugo, and you can head up. And so, Ochako nods. So when Bakugo attacks, Aizuku deflects with his sword, coating it in darkness. And with that, it basically deflects the explosion, hitting Bakugo back from the kinetic energy pushing against him. And so Bakugo attacks him again, and Aizuku keeps swinging at Bakugo. And so Aizuku is swinging so much, the darkness is about to surround him, and he sees that, so he decides to do it more. And so then eventually the darkness surrounds him, and so Bakugo's explosions are not hitting him. And so then Aizuku then does a slash next to his head, and so then the darkness hits Bakugo against the wall. And so then Aizuku runs with the darkness covering him, and then he wraps the rope around him. And so yeah. And so then Bakugo yells, but then Aizuku goes to fight Tenya, but he's heavily depleted because of his energy being spent. But then he sees Tenya, and so he sees Ochako about to get caught. But then Aizuku gets in a slash position from across his chest, and he says, "Slash!" he yells. And so a darkness that is literally looks like a freaking, one of those, like, the big shockwave things. It looks like that, basically. And so Tanya gets hit back, and Ochako and Aizuku get the bomb, and Aizuku gets MVP and stuff. And so in the next one, I'll be talking about the U.S. No, what? Actually, hold up. Izuku will get class rep and stuff, and in this one, Izuku jumps up with his darkness, getting on the build, and tells everybody to go stay calm, and so Izuku gets he stays class rep, and so yeah.